Matthew Bell with Alzheimer'sProof.com, and today I have a genetic test here from 23andMe, and I'm going to actually open it up. We'll talk about it. I won't on camera actually do what is required to submit the genetic material. I'll spare your eyes, but we will talk about the genetic test, and then after I get the results back, I will also talk about the results. And so this is likely going to be a composite video, obviously, so there will be a gap, most likely, between the time it takes me to send the material off and when I get it back. But I just wanted to show you here. I don't know, I know Ancestry.com has its own genetic test. 23andMe is a competitor. 23andMe I was aware of a little bit earlier than the other one. And in this case, 23andMe also has, besides just Ancestry, and when I read a brief comparison of the two, it looks like Ancestry.com might have a slight edge if your aim in getting the genetic test is to actually find out about your ethnicity. However, my aim, at least for the purpose of this channel, is to avail myself of the test that actually tests for the predisposition to Alzheimer's disease, and that's going to be with what's called the APOE gene, or the apolipoprotein gene, and there are various different variants of that gene, and we'll kind of talk about that as things progress a little bit. But, you know, I just received this. It was actually a birthday gift, and you can see it's sealed up, so I'm just going to kind of open it, look at it, maybe talk through it on the back. You can actually see, I'll flash, if I can, up on the screen a better shot here, but it looks like it's a three-step process. So it looks like what this box includes is one set of step-by-step instructions, that's helpful, one saliva collection tube and cap, one sample return bag, one prepaid return label and box, and then it says in the little area here, pay required lab fee online. So there is a lab fee, and you can see if you just want the genetic Ancestry test, it's $69, and if you want both the Ancestry and the health, it's $169, and I guess there is no option just for the health, which probably would have been what I would have done. Then it says the lab won't process the sample, and you will not receive your reports until you have registered and your payment is received. Then it tells you you got to spit into this little tube, but it says at the top there, no blood, no needles. It doesn't require anything except a saliva sample. And then after they analyze the sample, they'll send an email to let you know your reports are ready. And then I guess you log in and you retrieve them online, presumably in some kind of secure login. So we'll see kind of what it's about. And as I kind of go through the box and the rest of it, I will maybe talk through what I have been doing. Once I send it off and get the reports back, then I will share the information that's relevant, particularly to Alzheimer's risk. Okay, I'm going to walk through my opening of this little thing here. So it says Personal Genetic Service and Saliva Collection Kit contains one single-use kit with a 2 milliliter volume. You can see you've got choices of the lab service. For Ancestry only, it looks like $69. For both Ancestry and health, it's $169. So there's no option just for health, which is what I am actually concerned with. But nevertheless, opening the little kit, first thing you can see is there's a little label here that's going to be peeled off. There's a little sticker, a little double-sided tape that's going to help this thing to be sealed when we mail it back. I've got the little quick start hello postcard. And on the back it says, don't forget to register, and then it tells you to write down your 14-digit barcode. Presumably that will be gotten from the internet site. It tells you where to register the kit, 23andme.com/start. It says again, your sample will not be processed unless it is registered. Here's the collection kit. Opening it, got the little baggie for placing the sample after it's been collected. Here's the collection tube, the buffer, and the little cap configuration. And then you can see the instructions here. No food or drink for 30 minutes prior to your sample being placed into the collection tube. Tells you to spit to the fill line, close the funnel, detach the funnel and screw on the cap, seal it in the bag, place the bag again back into the box, and then place the kit into the mail. Before mailing, register the kit, follow the instructions, otherwise your sample will not be processed. So it tells you that again. And it looks like pretty simple. There's not a whole lot in the kit here, not a whole lot to it. Most of it's going to be done on the back end, and where the fun is really going to happen, or I should say where the actual information is really going to come, is once I get the results back. And here I am with the sample collection kit again after I've opened it, and we're going to go ahead and do the sample here. So I notice on the website for 23andMe, they include instructions on how to try and guarantee that your sample is going to be able to be processed. They do note that some samples, I guess, are just so low in genetic material in terms of the saliva content, doesn't have a lot of the genetic material and not enough for their technology to process. But in some cases, some of the processing failures are due to not adhering to the following guidelines. So they repeat these, and I'll just state them briefly. So the first is you're not supposed to eat, drink, smoke, chew gum, brush your teeth, or use mouthwash for at least 30 minutes prior to providing your sample. Secondly, you're supposed to collect the recommended volume of saliva. It says the recommended volume should be about 2 milliliters, or about a half a teaspoon. Your saliva sample should be just above the fill line. Then provide your sample and add the stabilization buffer within 30 minutes. The full saliva sample should be collected within 30 minutes, and the funnel content should be released into the tube immediately. Waiting longer than 30 minutes may decrease the yield and quality of your DNA. Then cap securely before shipping. Remember to remove and discard the funnel lid and place the tube cap on securely before mailing your sample to the laboratory. Once again, I have the little box. I'm just going to open it, take the contents out of it. I've got the little papers for the stuff we already went through. I've got the little plastic thing that includes the saliva collection kit. Spit into this until we reach the fill line. And it says that you are not supposed to include bubbles in that. So just a little top onto the sample. And so after the sample is in place, then you swing this little thing shut and click the lid shut, and that mixes the buffer with the sample. Then it says you detach the little top with the funnel, and we add the little cap on instead. There is the finished sample. Alright, there it is. Alright, now of course I need to register the sample, and I also need to seal it in the bag. I'm not sure if the registration process is going to require numbers or anything off of the tube, so I don't want to seal it in the bag until I register it, but we'll do that and then send it off.
I just thought I would point out briefly that you actually can find on 23andMe's website. It's very helpful and intuitive. There's a what's in the kit. I know I just walked you through it, but you can see one more time here. You can see on 23andMe's website that they have an exploded view of everything that is in the kit. One more time, I thought I would just remind you have to register the kit before your sample can be processed, so don't forget to register your kit online if you're actually interested in receiving results. 23andMe does have a quick start guide online. You can get a copy. This is available on the 23andMe website, and you register the kit at 23andme.com/start. So let's actually do that now. So the very first thing you notice, there's a redirect in terms of the URL, which is fine. It's just a short link that they give you, to be expected. And this is the screen you're going to encounter where it asks you to register your kit, create an account, and link your kit to the account. So very first screen, obviously you're just going to put in your name, a good email address, create a password, confirm your password, enter your date of birth, and then click that you can agree to the terms of service and the privacy statement, which are both hyperlinks that you can view. I'll get into some of the terms of service a little bit further. So once you go that far, obviously they're going to ask you to verify your email address, which I did. Then they're going to ask you to enter in the barcode. The barcode's on the collection tube. You read it off of your tube, enter it in, and then you input who will be using the kit. Is it you, or are you buying it for somebody else, and so on. I can't comment on what actually it will tell you if you enter in that you're doing this for somebody else. Presumably they're the ones that are going to have to consent to all of the testing requirements. But of course I clicked that I will be using the kit, and I presume a lot of people will be in the same position. So I input my name, again, date of birth, click male. I've blocked out obviously all of the sensitive information, and then you click continue. Now then it asks you what service that you want. Now in the first place, there are two different services in principle available. You can just get the 23andMe kit to view ancestry information, but you can also do it with ancestry and health. I didn't find that there was an option to just do health, so I have to click the $169 for health and ancestry, which is what I did. You can see at the bottom there it says select and pay. So obviously I didn't buy the collection kit, it was given to me as a gift. So I presume the collection kit is some minimal purchase price. And then here you actually have the meat of it, and so you can see $169. Now it's interesting here because on 23andMe's website they have the same services available here. So you see $99 for ancestry, $199 for health and ancestry, and then they have the VIP, which you can get 2 kits for $499. But here's I guess what's going on here is if you buy the kit at a pharmacy or at some kind of convenience store, then I presume you pay $30 for the kit, and then when you log on using the information for that kit, I'm guessing that it's $169 and $69 respectively because you've already paid $30 for the kit. Whereas if you buy it on 23andMe's website, I'm presuming that it's $99 and $199 because they're going to send you the kit, and so I'm thinking there's continuity in the pricing here, but I could be wrong. So just be mindful that prices may be prone to fluctuate, and I don't certainly guarantee anything. I'm certainly not an affiliate. I'm not getting anything from 23andMe. This is just my own review. So then we get to the screen where you actually have to pay the lab fee. Obviously I selected health and ancestry for $169. And then you notice first of all that you have to accept the terms of service, and it says the purchase is non-refundable. So you have to understand that. And when you got to click obviously submit order. But one more thing to note is that on that screen it tells you can expect your results in 2 to 3 weeks. The processing times may vary. Sometimes they have high volume. And the third thing on there says it's intended for sale and use in the US alone, and that they are actually processing samples, I guess, from international submissions. So this is, for whatever reason, it's limited to the United States, presumably because of the regulations, but I don't know for a fact. And then you get to the order summary page. Obviously, it tells you what you have purchased, and it gives you a confirmation. Getting into the terms of service. So terms of service, privacy. You can actually view these. Anybody can view these without any purchase. You just go on to 23andme.com/about/TOS/. I'm not going to go through every one of them. I thought I would just draw your attention to a few of the terms of service, particularly under the section 5 that says risks and considerations. So obviously they're warning you. They're saying, look, if you don't want to know that you have the Alzheimer's gene, then don't submit the test. And it sounds ridiculous, but you know, if you are literally going to panic at having the results, or if they're going to bother you emotionally, and you can predict this. Obviously, I suppose you can send away for it and not realize that you're going to have an emotional reaction when you receive the results, but they're asking you to really be careful and really understand. So once you obtain your genetic information, the knowledge is irrevocable. You can't sort of unlearn it. They're telling you, please be careful. You see the next one down says some people feel a little anxious about genetic health results, and you may learn information about yourself that you do not anticipate. So certainly there's more information in the genetic reports than just the Alzheimer's information. I'm focused on it because of the focus of the channel, obviously, but I was really blown away at the breadth of the results, and this is one reason why I'm having to break this video into 2 parts, because there's just too much. They warn you that there might be errors that crop up. I'm going to let you observe these in greater detail if you want to. You should not change your health behaviors solely on the basis of information you obtain from 23andMe. Obviously this is from a liability standpoint. Then they tell you genetic research is not comprehensive. This is the one that I thought was the most interesting. Here it says genetic information you share with others could be used against your interests, and they use the example of insurance companies, and they say presently very few businesses or insurance companies request genetic information, but this could change in the future. So in other words, if you're applying for a life insurance policy, for example, and the question perhaps in the future might ask you, are you aware of any genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's disease or cancer or whatever it is. And if you've received these test results, then you would have to answer yes, or you would be withholding materially important information on your application. Now, presently, as it says, presently, very few companies request this information, but that could change. And so if you don't know the answer, you wouldn't have to say, you wouldn't have to divulge that. But what they're telling you is that that could potentially be the case. Now, there is this act. It says Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, and it says it was signed in 2008, but it pertains mostly to health insurance companies, and it doesn't pertain, and they specifically draw your attention to the fact that it does not cover life insurance, long-term care insurance, or disability insurance providers. So just be mindful. And then they tell you they only use it for research, information, education, and they do not provide medical advice. Now, as you're going through, they also ask if you want to take part in various research enterprises. So 23andMe, it says, aims to make important scientific discoveries and publish these, and then they invite you to participate. So certainly, like me, many people are just coming to this because they're curious about their ancestry or they're curious about their genetic predisposition to a particular disease. They're not intending to be a part of a scientific study. But if you click this, you could actually be a part of a study on the basis of your information or other tests that they run. And there's a whole consent page here, and you can click that you do or don't give consent. Then there's this thing, biobanking, which apparently enables them to store your sample possibly for additional testing as technologies advance or something further on down the line. And there's a couple of references here. First to a CLIA certified laboratory, and second to an IRB approval process. So CLIA stands for the Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendments, and this is an FDA certification, essentially, for the lab. And IRB stands for Institutional Review Board, and this is basically an ethics review of the use of your information. So once you've made your selections, you would just click complete registration, and then they give you a little survey, a couple pages, and at the end of the survey, they thank you. And just as a reminder, the reports are going to be delivered online. You'll receive reports through a password protected account, so you've registered in the first place, and then you will receive your reports, a link via email, and you'll log back into the site to retrieve them. So mailing it off. So here's my complete sample. You're going to take the sample vial, take the plastic mailer, the little plastic sealed specimen bag. You can see it is marked DNA biospecimen bag. You can see the little blue tape at the top that's going to protect the adhesive. Once you put your collection tube in the bag, you remove the blue tape, and that enables the top of the bag to seal. Now here it was a little bit unclear whether you just put the plastic bag into the box or whether you put it back into the plastic. I decided to put it back into the plastic container because otherwise it just kind of rolls around inside of the box. So I just stuck the plastic bag with the tube back inside the little plastic container. Then I put that back into the box, and now notice at the top of the box again, you see it says peel here. There's your adhesive for your mailing box. So you just remove the adhesive, making sure everything's in there. Your last opportunity. Once you seal it, you're going to screw the box up if you have to get back into it. So once again, before mailing, they even write it on the box. Make sure you register your kit. So like I said, I didn't even want to put my mailer together until I did the registration. So now, having done that, you can seal the box, and it's all sealed, and it is ready to be mailed. It's no postage necessary. It's prepaid by 23andMe, and then you just have to wait for your results. I just wanted to mention something quickly here. So I did the specimen collection on January the 9th, and so I registered my account on January the 9th, and you can see that 23andMe was extraordinarily communicative. So, for example, on January the 9th, I got a response in confirmation of the creation of my account. They confirmed that my kit had been registered. I got the order confirmation for the payment. That was all on January the 9th. Then I mailed it on January the 10th. A couple days later, I'm sure they hadn't received it yet, or I suspect they hadn't. It says that they sent a little email in terms of what to expect. So that was on January the 12th. Then on the 13th, they actually did acknowledge that they received it, and I thought that was nice. And then on January the 17th, it said that we're genotyping your DNA, and essentially it said in the email that the sample was received that they would attempt to remove the DNA from the saliva sample. And so then they went ahead and actually said they were genotyping it on the 17th. Then on the 23rd, it said they were reviewing the genetic data. On the 24th, I got an email about what to expect. And finally, the 27th, my reports were ready. So the 9th to the 16th, if you want to call it, let's say the 10th when I mailed it. So I mailed it on the 10th. The 10th to the 17th was 1 week. The 17th to the 24th was the second week, and my results were ready by the 27th. So it was not 3 complete weeks. So it said on the introductory screen that it would be 2 to 3 weeks. And in fact, it was. So 10 to 17 was 1 week, 17 to 24, that was 2. So it was 2 weeks and just a couple of days. And so I was very happy with that, and I've been happy with the interface so far. I'm going to have to get into the results more fully, and I'm not going to try and tackle that here because it's just too complex.
So thank you so much for watching. If something that I shared was of value to you, I ask that you please click the like button. I ask that you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to be alerted to new content as it becomes available. I had initially conceived of this video being a combination of the procedure for getting the results as well as me talking through them, but the procedure was complicated enough and the results when I reviewed them are in depth to the point that it doesn't make sense for me to try and handle all of those things in one video. So I'm going to wrap this one up, but if you're interested in my personal results, or if not because of my personal results, if you're just interested in seeing how the results look and talking through some of the ramifications, caveats, and other things that have to do with getting the results from 23andMe, I invite you to check back because I'm actually going to talk through just some of the things about the genetic component of the risk factor for Alzheimer's, and using my results as an example can kind of get into some of those conversations. So if that's of interest, I invite you to check back. But again, thank you so much for being with me today, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video. Thank you.